Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayat Udire Namatam Svakatha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Yadyantastoya Bhadrani Vidhanoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhaktreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloka Bhaktir Bhavati Nastaki. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 27, verses 8 and 9. Verse 8. Sarpanchalpati putran pitrivamsa vivardhanan dure sanyojayam asa duhriti sadrishervare Sarpanchalpati putran pitrivamsa vivardhanan dare samyojayam asa duhitri sadrisher varehe. Synonyms. Sa, he, Panchalapati, the king of Panchal, Putran, sons, Pitrivamsa, paternal family, Vivardhanan, increasing, Dare, with wives, Sanyojayam, Asa, married, Duhitri, daughters, Sadrishe, qualified, Vare, with husbands. As this king Puranjana, king of the Panchal country, in order to increase the descendants of his paternal family, married his sons with qualified wives and married his daughters with qualified husbands. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. According to the Vedic system, everyone should marry. One has to accept a wife because a wife will produce children, and the children in their turn will offer foodstuffs and funeral ceremonies so that the forefathers, wherever they may live, will be made happy. The offering of oblations in the name of Lord Vishnu is called Pindodak, and it is necessary that the descendants of a family offer Pinda to the forefathers. Not only was Puranjana, the king of Panchal, satisfied in his own sex life, but he arranged for the sex life of his 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. In this way, one can elevate an aristocratic family to the platform of a dynasty. It is significant in this verse that Puranjan got both sons and daughters married. It is the duty of a father and mother to arrange for the marriage of their sons and daughters. That is the obligation in Vedic society. Sons and daughters should not be allowed freedom to intermingle with the opposite sex unless they are married. This Vedic social organization is very good in that it stops the promulgation of illicit sex life or Varna Sankara, which appears under different names in this present day. Unfortunately, in this age, although the father and mother are anxious to get their children married, children refuse to get married by the arrangement of the parents. Consequently, the number of Varna Sankara has increased throughout the world under different names. Text 9. Putranam cha bhavan putra ekaikasya satam satam yer vai varan Jano Vamsha Panchaleshu Samedhita. Synonyms: Putranam, of the sons, Cha, also, Abhavan, were produced, Putra, sons, Ekasya, of each one, Satam, 100, Satam, 100, Ye, by whom, why, certainly, Puranjana, of King Puranjana, Vamsa, family, Panchalis, in the land of Panchal, Samedhita, greatly increased. Of these many sons, each produced hundreds and hundreds of grandsons. In this way, the whole city of Panchal became overcrowded by these sons and grandsons of King Puranjana. Purport: you must remember that Puranjan is the living entity and the city Panchal is the body. The body is the field of activity for the living entity. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Kshetra Kshetragya. There are two constituents. One is the living entity, Kshetragya, and the other is the body of the living entity, Kshetra. Any living entity can know that he is covered by the body if he only contemplates the body a little bit. Just with a little contemplation, he can come to understand that the body is his possession. One can understand this by practical experience and by the authority of the Shastras. In Bhagavad Gita 2:13, it is said, Dehinosmin yatha dehe. The proprietor of the body, the soul, is within the body. The body is taken as the Panchala Desh, or the field of activities, wherein the living entity can enjoy the senses in their relationship to the five sense objects, namely Gandha, Rasa, Rupa, Sparsha, Shabda. That is, sense objects made out of earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Within this material world, covered by the material body of subtle and gross matter, every living entity creates actions and reactions, which are herein known allegorically as sons and grandsons. There are two kinds of actions and reactions, namely pious and impious. In this way, our material existence becomes coated by different actions and reactions. In this regard, Srila Narottam Das Thakur states, Karma Kanda Jnana Kanda Kevala Visher Bhanda Amrita Baliya Jebe Khaya Nana Yoni Sada Fire Kadarya Bhakshana Kare Tara Janma Andha Adha Pate Jai. Fruitive activities and mental speculation are simply cups of poison. Whoever drinks of them, thinking them to be nectar, must struggle very hard life after life in different types of bodies. Such a person eats all kinds of nonsense and becomes condemned by his activities of so called sense enjoyment. Thus, the field of action and reactions by which one's descendants are increased begins with sex life. Puranjana increased his whole family by begetting sons, who in their turn begot grandsons. Thus, the living entity, being inclined towards sexual gratification, becomes involved in many hundreds and thousands of actions and reactions. In this way, he remains within the material world simply for the purpose of sense gratification and transmigrates from one body to another. His process of reproducing so many sons and grandsons results in so called societies, nations, communities, and so on. All these communities, societies, dynasties, and nations simply expand from sex life, as stated by Prahlad Maharaj. Yan Maithunadi Grahmedi sukham hi tuchham. A Grihimedi is one who wants to remain within this material existence. This means that he wants to remain within this body or society and enjoy friendship, love, and community. His only enjoyment is in increasing the number of sex enjoyers. He enjoys sex and produces children who, in their turn, marry and produce grandchildren. The grandchildren also marry and, in their turn, produce great grandchildren. In this way, the entire earth becomes overpopulated, and then suddenly there are reactions provoked by material nature in the form of war, famine, pestilence, earthquakes, etc. Thus, the entire population is again extinguished, simply to be recreated. This process is explained in Bhagavad Gita, where 19 has repeated creation and annihilation. Bhutva bhutva praliryate. Due to lack of Krishna consciousness, all this creation and annihilation is going on under the name of human civilization. This cycle continues due to man's lack of knowledge of the soul and the supreme personality of Godhead. End of purport. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. So, we are in this chapter, the allegorical story of King Puranjana and his family life and sons, grandsons, granddaughters. So, which is nothing but a reflection, a mirror that is being pointed towards us. It is telling us that this is you. This is our forefathers. This is how life came about. That was the idea by Narada Muni when he was reciting this to King Prachinbari, telling him, this is everyone's life. People do this, engage in this kind of activities, produce children, and involved in pious and impious work, and thereby creating reactions of those work. And with the reactions, one is forced to take birth again in this material world, because this body is made of, as a result of reactions of between pious and impious activities that we perform in this life, going to determine. The goal is to transcend the cycle of birth and death. And that's what Narada Muni is giving a hint to King Prachinbari. And through the medium of King Prachinbari and through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam, is giving these instructions to all the world, all of those who care to read and listen to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, that one should not carelessly engage in work, whether pious or impious, but should think of the higher understanding, higher knowledge from which one can transcend this material nature and go back home, back to Godhead in, in one's original constitutional position, one's Swarup. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita mentions in all the chapters, tells Arjuna what is action, what is inaction, what is uh, prohibited action. And then he's talking about Brahma Bhut Prasannatma na Sochati na Kankshati. So the goal is to become Brahma Bhut, to understand our original constitutional position. So, so karma, how we should act. We have gotten this body because of our prarabdha. Karma, there are three kinds. Sanchit karma, the accumulated reactions of our past lives and current life, where we are accumulating karma when you end up conducting ourselves, which is going to have reactions. So that is kriyamana karma, the present karma or the future karma that we are going to do. And then some karmas, pious and impious karmas, have become prarabdha. Prarabdha is something which one has to undergo. There is no remedy but to undertake that, and Krishna, if we turn towards Krishna, then Krishna will give us the strength to deal with our prarabdha. So prarabdha can be of two kinds. Prarabdha that may give us bodily ailment or the reactions that have become fructified and then awaiting to be reacted upon us. So it can be in the form of bodily ailment or in the form of bodily pleasures also. So by this, we are able to work out our prarabdha. When we turn towards Krishna, these reactions will come according to our prarabdha. And we have to tolerate it and make sure the future karma that we conduct will be such that there will not be any reaction to it. Then we will be able to transcend this material world in thinking of Krishna in attaining the Brahma Bhuta stage. And the past Sanchit karma that is there from the millions of births, Krishna will put a fire to it and burn it to ashes. So that's how one should understand what this life is. So by reading this, sometimes it feels like, oh, what is this story? But it is actually showing us a mirror actually. This is everybody's life. King Puranjana, Puranjani, wife, children, family, actions, reactions, cycles of birth, not just human life, but, the life of every living entity and how to get out of it. And Krishna has very concisely said the same thing in Bhagavad Gita about karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, bhakti yoga. The whole essence is bhakti yoga. So, and And Krishna also comes in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to practically show us how one should engage in Bhakti Yoga and successfully get out of this material entanglement and engage in loving service to the Lord by going back home, back to Godhead. And what is that process? Chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. With this, I conclude this today's verse summary. Thank you very much for joining in. Vancha Kalpatarupescha, Kripa Sindhu Patithanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavi.